What if everything you've been told about the Iraqi dinar and Vietnamese dong is a carefully constructed fantasy designed not to make you wealthy, but to keep you perpetually invested in a dream that will never materialize? Welcome, and if you're watching this, you are likely one of the thousands, if not millions, of people around the world who have been captivated by the tantalizing promise of a life-changing currency revaluation. You've probably spent countless hours on forums, watched endless videos from self-proclaimed gurus, and clung to every shred of intel that suggests the big day is just around the corner. But I am here today to deliver a message you won't hear from those so-called experts, a message that might be difficult to hear but is absolutely necessary for your financial survival. The year 2025 is not being forecast by credible economists as the year of the Great Revaluation. Instead, it is being quietly discussed in the back channels of international finance as the potential year of a catastrophic collapse for these currencies. A collapse that the gurus are either ignorant of or are deliberately ignoring to keep you buying. Let's be brutally honest for a moment. The entire premise of the dinar investment is built on a fundamental misunderstanding of global economics. A currency's value is not a lottery ticket. It is a direct reflection of a nation's economic health, political stability, and productive output. So, let's apply that simple, undeniable logic to Iraq. Despite its vast oil reserves, Iraq remains a nation grappling with profound internal conflict, rampant corruption that reaches the highest levels of government, and an economy that is staggeringly monolithic, almost entirely dependent on crude oil exports with very little diversified industry. This is not the profile of an economy on the verge of launching its currency to stellar, dollar-beating values. This is the profile of an economy in a perpetual state of fragile recovery. The Central Bank of Iraq has been engaged in a desperate and continuous struggle to maintain even the current, low exchange rate, burning through its dollar reserves to prop up the dinar and prevent a total freefall. They are not preparing for a revaluation. They are fighting a daily battle against devaluation. Every policy move, every intervention, is a defensive maneuver, not an offensive one aimed at creating a new global reserve currency. And what about all that talk of deleting the zeros? This technical process, often misrepresented as a revaluation, is simply a monetary reform to make the currency easier to handle in daily transactions. It does not increase the purchasing power of your dinar holdings. If you have 1 million dinar now, you will have 1,000 of the new dinar after the redenomination. Your wealth does not magically multiply. The number of notes in your possessions simply becomes more manageable. The gurus have twisted this administrative necessity into a prophecy of wealth, preying on the hopes of those who do not understand the technicalities. Now, let's pivot to the Vietnamese dong. The narrative here is slightly different, often tied to Vietnam's impressive economic growth. But high GDP growth does not automatically translate to a soaring currency value. In fact, Vietnam has deliberately and strategically kept its currency weak for decades to fuel its export-driven economy. A strong dong would be a disaster for its manufacturers, making their goods more expensive on the world market and crippling the very engine of its growth. The State Bank of Vietnam maintains a tight grip on the exchange rate, and its primary goal is stability and competitive devaluation, not a sudden, dramatic appreciation that would destroy its economic model. The idea that both Iraq and Vietnam would simultaneously decide to kamikaze their economic strategies for the benefit of foreign currency speculators is not just illogical, it is economic fantasy on a grand scale. So, before we dive even deeper into the chilling specifics of the 2025 collapse scenario, I need you to do something for me. If you are tired of the hype, the lies, and the constant cycle of broken promises, then I want you to click that like button right now. Let me see that you are ready for the unvarnished truth. And make sure you are subscribed with notifications on, because what I am about to reveal in the next segment will permanently change the way you view this entire investment. So, you've understood the foundational cracks in this entire paradigm, the economic realities that make a revaluation not just unlikely but practically impossible. Now, let's pull back the curtain on the specific, converging factors that are setting the stage for what could be a perfect storm in 2025, a scenario that is being discussed in sober tones by international financial institutions but is conspicuously absent from the cheerful predictions of the dinar and dong gurus. The first and most potent threat is the accelerating global shift away from fossil fuels. While the world is not abandoning oil overnight, the relentless march towards green energy, electric vehicles, and sustainable technology is systematically eroding the long-term value of an economy like Iraq's, which is almost entirely dependent on black gold. Imagine a future where global oil demand peaks and begins a permanent decline. The budgets of oil-reliant nations, which are already strained to their limits, would face an existential crisis. For Iraq, this means less dollar revenue flowing into the state coffers, which in turn means the Central Bank of Iraq has fewer and fewer resources to continue its desperate defense of the dinar's current value. A sustained drop in oil prices, or even a stabilization at a lower level, would be the trigger that blows a hole in their defensive line, leading to a devaluation that could make the current exchange rate look generous. This is not a distant fantasy. It is a mathematical certainty being modeled by energy analysts right now. Now, layer on top of that the precarious geopolitical situation. The Middle East is a tinderbox, and Iraq sits squarely in the center of it. Any significant regional conflict, a flare-up with Iran, or an internal political collapse, a very real possibility given the fragile coalition governments, would cause international investors to flee and the currency to plummet overnight. Currencies are fundamentally built on confidence, and there is no confidence in a nation perpetually on the brink. The dinar is a pressure cooker, and the external heat is being turned up year after year. The year 2025 is simply a point on that timeline where these external pressures may finally exceed the container's ability to hold them. Now, let's talk about the dong. Vietnam's story is different but equally perilous. Its remarkable growth has been fueled by a massive influx of foreign investment and a booming manufacturing sector. But this success has made it vulnerable to global economic shifts. The world is currently flirting with recession, and consumer demand in Europe and the United States, Vietnam's primary markets, is softening. A major recession in the West would lead to a dramatic reduction in orders for Vietnamese goods, crippling factory output and causing widespread unemployment. In such a scenario, the State Bank of Vietnam would be forced to make a brutal choice: defend the currency's value and watch its exporters go bankrupt, or deliberately devalue the dong to make its goods cheaper and more attractive on the world market. They will always, without a single doubt, choose the latter. A devaluation to save the economy is a core tool in their arsenal, not a revaluation to enrich speculators. Furthermore, Vietnam is caught in the middle of the US-China trade war, a precarious position that forces it to walk a diplomatic tightrope. One wrong move, one shift in trade policy from a powerful nation could disrupt its entire economic model. The idea that this complex, sensitive situation will magically resolve itself into a currency windfall for foreign holders of dong is a dangerous delusion. The gurus are selling you a dream, but the cold, hard data from the International Monetary Fund and World Bank reports point towards a reality of vulnerability and managed decline, not miraculous appreciation. They are not talking about this because fear doesn't sell their courses and their phone apps. Hope does. But I believe you deserve the truth, no matter how uncomfortable it is. And if you're starting to see the grim picture forming, then you need to understand the final, most devastating piece of this puzzle: the human cost and the exit strategy, or lack thereof, for those who have invested their life savings. That is what we will expose in the final and most critical part of this discussion. Now we arrive at the most critical and heartbreaking part of this entire discussion: the human toll and the inescapable trap that has been set for ordinary investors like you. You were sold a vision of financial freedom, a promise that a small investment would one day transform into generational wealth. But the architects of this scheme knew something you didn't. They understood that the true profit wasn't in the revaluation of the dinar or dong, but in the steady, guaranteed flow of commissions from selling you these virtually worthless banknotes. Think about the structure of this so-called investment. You are not buying a stock or a bond that represents a share in a productive company. You are purchasing a paper currency that is meant to be used within a specific country. You have become the end user in a one-sided transaction. The dealers and gurus have already made their profit the moment your payment cleared. Their incentive is not to see the currency succeed. Their incentive is to keep the hype alive so that the next person, and the next, continues to buy, creating a perpetual motion machine of commissions for them. This is why the goalpost for the revaluation is constantly moved. It was supposed to happen after the war ended, then after the new government was formed, then after the fiscal year concluded, then after the digitization was complete. The event is always 6 months away, a horizon you can never reach, because the moment the community collectively believes it will never happen, the entire pyramid of promises collapses. And what is your exit strategy in all of this? There is none. Try walking into your local bank and asking to exchange your millions of dinar for US dollars. You will be met with a blank stare. The secondary market for these currencies is almost non-existent for the average person, and the few places that might buy them back from you will do so at a staggering discount, far below the rate you paid, locking in a massive loss. You are holding an illiquid asset with no intrinsic value outside its home nation, and that is precisely how the system was designed. Your life savings have been converted into a collectible, a souvenir of a financial dream that was never based on reality. The coming collapse in 2025 is not just about exchange rates falling on a screen. It is about the final, shattering moment when hope evaporates for thousands of families who tied their futures to this fantasy. It is about the retirement funds that are gone, the second mortgages that cannot be repaid, the financial devastation that will ripple through lives. The gurus will simply vanish. They will delete their YouTube channels, shut down their websites, and disappear with their wealth, leaving you holding stacks of paper and a profound sense of betrayal. They are not experts. They are master storytellers who have weaponized your legitimate desire for a better life against you. But this does not have to be your fate. The moment you accept this difficult truth is the moment you reclaim your power. You can choose to stop the financial bleeding right now. You can redirect your future contributions away from this speculative black hole and towards genuine, productive assets. The first step is the hardest, but it is the most important. You must break the cycle of hope and addiction to the daily intel that keeps you trapped. Your financial future is too important to be left in the hands of anonymous forum posters and charismatic salesmen on the internet. You deserve strategies that are based on transparent, time-tested principles of wealth building, not on secretive prophecies and geopolitical fan fiction. This is where your journey truly begins. This is your call to action, not to buy something, but to learn. I have created a free, no-obligation guide that details the red flags of currency speculation and outlines the first concrete steps towards rebuilding a solid financial foundation based on assets that actually generate value and cash flow. The link is in the description below. I am not selling you anything. I am giving you a roadmap out of this maze. Click that link, get the guide, and start a new chapter today. And if this video has opened your eyes, if it has given you the clarity you've been searching for, then do me one last favor. Share this video. Share it everywhere you use to consume the hype. Share it on the forums, in the private groups, with anyone you know who might be caught in this same trap. You have the power to break the chain and become a beacon of truth for someone else who is struggling to see through the illusion. Let's start a movement of real financial education. Smash that like button, subscribe for more content that cuts through the noise, and most importantly, take action right now. Click the link in the description. Your future self will thank you for it.